Welcome back to the Marlins here on OOTP 26. It is time for the offseason here. We just finished up the 2029 postseason. Of all teams, Colorado Rockies win the World Series. As we talked about, we lose to them in the LCS. I mean, they took it to us. We did not stand a chance. I mean, they were just a team of destiny. They go on and win the first World Series in franchise history. So congratulations to them, and now we are moving on to the offseason to look to build on another 2030 team here, or a 2030 team, I should say, to go on another playoff run here. We won 98 games this season. Big bounce back year for us after the weird year where we had like the super... we had the -7 of the Pythagorean. We were like well below 500 on one-run games. And just a really weird year overall. But we bounced back this year with our highest win total yet in this series, 98. We've won 96 and 94, our previous seasons making the playoffs. And, I'm not shooting for win totals here, but 90-plus wins, that usually is the goal here. You know, we're trying to build a sustainable winner here in Miami, and that is not going to change for next season. We have some pieces that we're probably going to be moving around here. If we take a look at our mail-in news here, we do have a couple options to make a decision on. Keegan Akin, we have a team option for him at $3.5 million. Right now, he is still the only lefty in the bullpen coming off rotator cuff inflammation. He was very good for us this year, very good for us last year, even better this year, you could say. I mean, his strikeout rate went up, his walk rate did go up, but I mean, the strikeout rate did as well. The whip went down, the home run rate went down. He was just fantastic for us. One of the best relievers in baseball this season. And even though he's going to be 35 next year, we're bringing his ass back, you know it. We are gonna try to bring in some more lefties into our mix this season. We don't want to go into our season with just Ryan Weathers and just Keegan Akin as our lefties. So we are going to be making that a focus this offseason. But for now, Keegan Akin is the lone lefty right now. We want to bring him back, even though he's a veteran, even though he's 35. He's very good. So we're bringing him back. Christian Scott also leaning towards bringing him back. He is a guy who just pitched a perfect game for us this season. He's always been a guy who's kind of just been like, whatever. You know, he's never really been that great for us, but he's at such a team-friendly price at $4.5 million as a 30-year-old veteran, reliable starter who gives you, he never gives you like anything super great. You look at these numbers here, but he gives you like a steady, like this year he was really good at the ERA and he had a really, really low BABIP, but he always runs a pretty low BABIP. He's a decent pitcher. He's a decent pitcher. So right now, if we take a look at our pitching staff, Waldrop is going. Well, first of all, we should talk about how I have this sorted here. Is just these four guys are who I'm leaning towards being in our rotation next year. These middle relief guys, ignore the primary role name here, but this group of four here are the dudes that I think are guaranteed spots on this upcoming roster. This group of four, Henriquez, Hubeck, Johnson, and Perez, are guys who could be on next year's team. It's probably, I would not put it past any of these guys to make the roster, but it's gonna depend on how the offseason shakes out, who we bring in, what trades we make, and all that stuff. So Henriquez, Hubeck, Johnson, Perez are that second tier. And then Miller and Martin, I would say that Miller and Martin are both kind of in between, or I would say they're both more towards this group of four with their like guaranteed spots. But I had them listed as emergency starting pitchers because I'm like, both of these guys could go in the rotation. If we don't bring back Christian Scott, maybe Peyton Martin ends up in our rotation this season. He's a guy we picked up from the Dodgers in that trade in 2027. Hasn't ever really gotten too much of a run for us in the majors here, but he's a guy who should. He's got good stuff. He's got 3 good pitches. He's got good movement. He's got good control. Why not? Why not see what this guy can do for us, So we might lean towards putting him in the rotation for us this season. Right now he's listed as a reliever, where he also, if he doesn't make the team as a starter, he is going to be one of these guys who guarantees a spot in the bullpen, at least to start the season. So at least 5 guys in the bullpen are set in stone. Bobby Miller as well is a guy who, if he does end up in the rotation, he would be a guy who is a follower. That's pretty much the role that we've settled him into. He is a follower. That's what he is. He's been good for us. So he might end up in that role as our 5th starter. We'll have to see. And if he's not, he'll just be a regular reliever. And then the rest of these dudes are guys who are just not going to be back this season because they're either expiring contracts or we just don't think that they're... or I shouldn't say not be back. Like, Noble Meyer is a guy who's going to be in the organization unless I trade him away because he is an extreme fly ball guy. He's got some big power potential here with the fastball and slider mix. But he's extreme fly ball, and we're trying to get away from that. The 45 home runs, the not great control. It can be 50, but I feel like it's probably just lying to me at this point. So I am kind of leaning towards trying to trade Noble Meyer just for whatever we can get for him in this offseason. It's probably not going to be much, but we're going to try. And then Juan De La Cruz is a guy who we are just going to straight up waive in DFA. We'll do that right now because I just don't think he's valuable. He has not turned into a valuable piece. He has not been great in the minor leagues the past couple seasons. So Juan De La Cruz, it was nice to know you, but you never really did anything for us. And then the rest of these dudes, Michael King, Drew Rasmussen, Emmanuel Clase, and Zach Wheeler are all expiring contracts. Rasmussen and Wheeler both acquired by trade this deadline. Don't really have any plans to bring back either of these guys, give them any offers. They're going to hit free agency. It's whatever. They were here for half a season. They helped us on our run, and it did not end up in a World Series, but they were here for the run. Emmanuel Clase was only even on this team because he accepted the QO. Now, I don't think you can double QO again. You cannot. You cannot double QO a guy. So Clase is just going to walk into free agency. We're not going to get anything for him. He's probably going to, he wants a pretty penny. Right now we don't have the money to offer him that, but we are giving a ton into player dev and whatnot, so we can always change that around. But we're not planning on offering Clase. He had his 2-year stint with us. He's going to go walk into free agency. And then as far as the other guys, Michael King, very good tenure, I would say, here with the Florida Marlins, except for this past season. 2026, Cy Young type year. If there wasn't Shohei Ohtani in the league, he wins Cy Young. That's just what it is to me. I'm pretty sure he finished 2nd that year. So Shohei Ohtani is not in the league doing what he does, and Michael King gets Cy Young in 2026. 2027, not as good, but still, very good year. And then in 2028, little bit unlucky with the ERA, but overall, 3-WAR pitcher, very solid player for us. And then this past year, just fell off a cliff. The movement really took a tank. It's down to 45 home runs allowed. He's an extreme fly ball now. So we're just not interested in bringing back Michael King. He was making $14 million for us. He even wants less than that. So obviously, we are not going to be giving him a $20 million QO because he would accept that in a heartbeat. So we're not going to be doing that. Him, Clase, Rasmussen, and Wheeler will all be just walking into free agency for us this season. And then as far as the hitting goes, that's where things could just be more so looked to within our system. I think we have a lot of pieces in place, not a lot of pieces to be moved around or things. I don't really think we need to change anything, really, with the hitting. Ramirez and Palma are going to be the catching duo. I'm thinking we're going to roll with, really the only thing that could possibly be changed is that maybe we bring back De Los Santos, but he is slotted to get $6.3 million in arbitration this upcoming season, so is it cheap to trade that away? Yeah, probably, but am I in the habit of paying first baseman multi-million dollars? Not really, unless they're like generational and like, sure, he's got some serious pop, but 28 home runs isn't like a ton. So like, could we theoretically get 28 home runs out of Nicholas Partridge? Sure, why not? So I'm thinking we're going to run him at first base this year. That was the plan. That's really what we've been working to here with Nicholas Partridge development here. So he's probably going to be our first baseman. De Los Santos is probably going to be trade bait for something. And then really everything else is pretty much set in stone. Like Dylan Head's going to be in center. We're thinking Duran is going to be in left for us because we have him for one more season. and I don't really want to trade him, so I think we're just going to roll with him in left field for us. That does push more Lando to the bench, and we're going to have to figure out what to do with him, whether that's trade bait, whether he's just depth for us. You know, we'll see what happens. But right now, I'm leaning he's going to be depth for us because he is a useful player. Victor Mesa, he might end up being our fourth outfielder this year. We will have to see. He has still one more option. He's been here forever. He's 28. He's never gotten a chance in the big leagues. But he's a guy who we still think can, hang in the big leagues. So whether it's him, whether it's Fabian, whether it's Hope, probably one of those guys will end up being one of our fourth outfielders this season. Maybe even Summerhill. Who knows what happens? And then Kaba on the bench, because I think he's firmly overtaken Cameron Cawley. Also, Kaba he still has two options. He's still only 23. He's about to be 24. He's got the super utility rolled into him now. He's a much better defender than Cawley is. And he's got a little bit more interesting of a bat than Cameron Cawley, because Cawley just kind of has nothing going for him, whereas Kaba at least has the avoid K and the I going for him as well, and he's better defensively. So Kaba is going to be our main backup here, but then Lee is obviously going to be second. Lara is obviously going to be third. We're locked into another year of Acosta at shortstop at $4.7 million on the extension I gave him last offseason. And then Duran's in left, Heads in center. Vargas is going to play right. He played us a good right field this season with a 6 ZR. So yeah, I mean, and then DH is really, so DH and first base are going to be the changes. Partridge, I'm thinking, is going to be our first baseman. And then DH, I'm thinking we could end up just doing a pair of just swapping every other day, Fernandez and Eels again. I would not be opposed to that. I still like Peyton Eels. I still think he's a useful player. He still has one option here, so maybe he's depth for us this year. Maybe he's once again, maybe he's a swapping DH guy with Fernandez. But we liked Fernandez this season. He did kind of cool off towards the end of the year, as we know, in August and September, and then didn't really do anything in the playoffs either, but he got 5 plate appearances because he cooled off at the end of the year, so I didn't really lean towards using him. But you look at this guy's profile, he's got 50 pop, 55 potential, 60 gap power. He's a leader, high work ethic guy. He's a good guy to have around, lefty bat. Whether he's a bench bat, whether he's a DH for us, I think we are going to keep him around. He does have no options, though, so he will be on the big league club if he is around. And then Peyton Eels, we've seen that he does have options, but then I'm also kind of leaning towards, if we do a duo at DH, maybe it's Fernandez, who I should mention, he can hit against lefties. He's not like a major liability against lefties, so I wouldn't be totally against just having him be the DH. But if we could possibly do a platoon here where he's a lefty bat who plays against righties, get the full potential of his bat, and then against the lefties, maybe mix in some Camilo Diaz here, huh? We got him from the Astros this past offseason. He was in AAA for us this year. He was hitting damn well. 2.7 WAR, 113 WRC plus, 19 doubles, 23 home runs down there in Jacksonville. Got a very, very small sample size in the big leagues. Did very well in that small sample size. And he's a guy who's very useful. He's a right-handed bat. He's got some serious pop already against lefties. It can possibly improve against righties, but right now already he's a hell of a bat against lefties. And he's even good defensively. He can play third base at an elite level. He can even spot you some shortstop. He can play you some second. He can play you some first. So he's a very useful player to have around. And I'm thinking we're leaning towards wanting him on the roster right now. So, I would say that Palma, Kaba, and Diaz are all guys who have, guaranteed at least bench spots on the team. Diaz maybe, or who knows, maybe we would just go Diaz full-time DH, and hopefully he can tap into some of his power against right-handed pitching. Who knows? But at the very least, I'm thinking we are leaning towards using him as the DH against lefties. And so I don't really think there's going to be too many changes to the lineup. The pitching is where things could really get changed up this season. So that's the recap of what's going to happen here. We're going to go to, or the rundown of what's going to happen, I should say. We're going to go here, and we are going to indeed execute the option for Christian Scott. He will be back for one more season. That is the last option at 4.5, age 30. So We'll be using him again this season. Pitched a perfect game. He's a Marlins legend at this point. 3 years for us, steady starter, solid like fifth starter, I would say. And as far as dudes we have down in AAA who could be added to the 40-man this season, could play a role on our major league club, a lot of guys have already been promoted to the big leagues. So like we're in that weird part of a minor league farm system where a lot of our top prospects are guys way down in the lower portion of the minor leagues, whether it's an A ball, whether it's a rookie ball, whether it's in the complex league, whatever it may be. A lot of our guys are in the very beginning of their pro ball careers, and a lot of our guys in the upper, in AA and AAA, are dudes like this, who are like late 20s guys who like could be like fringe roster players. Like we're never going to expect Jacob Kisting to be like a super dude for us. And he's also, I'm looking at him and I'm like, this is a guy who I look at these potential ratings, and with this year's game, I just go, he's never going to hit these. He's never going to hit these potentials. He's going to be 27 next year, and it's going to be these exact ratings. None of these potentials are going to get filled in. Then he's going to be 28. None of these potentials are going to get filled in. Then he's going to be 29. Nothing's going to get tapped into. And then he'll be 30, and then maybe it'll be like, okay, this is what he is. So, it's guys like this that are in the upper of our minors. There are some possibly useful guys. Somebody like Demavi Teneo here. Have you said this guy's name? Lefty. Weird profile here. Really good at holding runners as a lefty. Really good at suppressing home runs. He's got really good movement. Extreme ground ball lefty. Soft tosser. He has like a crazy like big pitch mix. None of these are like great pitches aside from the changeup. But he is a guy who could be interesting in the org for us this season. But the thing about him, though, is, you see these, like, soft-tossing lefties guys who, like, you want their stuff and their pitches to play up because they have such good movement, but you also want them to have good control. The thing about this guy is that he has no control. So he has poor control, poor pitches, poor stuff, but he's really good at suppressing home runs. So who knows if he makes it to the big leagues? He is somebody we will have to add to the Rule 5, or to our 40-man if we want to protect him, but I also don't think he's a guy who would get taken in the Rule 5. I don't think he is, so we could just probably get away with it, just having him start the year in AAA off the 40-man. And like I mentioned, we are going to look to bring in some more lefties this season. Maybe we have an option here within our organization. Mick Abel, unfortunately, was just not really anything for us this season, and he's also another one of these guys who, I'm going to keep saying it, people like to talk about. Some people like the rants I do. Some people hate the rants I do. Whatever. It's just what I do. I'm not going to play one of these games and be like, oh my God, it's actually awesome that the game is going downhill this quickly. But I'm going to keep saying it. This guy is never going to hit the potential. I just have to start looking at these guys like this because the game is just going to keep gaslighting me into thinking, hey, this guy is going to be good. But he's not. He's never going to tap into this guy. 2 years down the line, it's going to tell me this guy's 45 stuff, 50 movement, 40 control, 55 fastballs is the best pitch. It's just, he's never going to tap into these potentials. The game in previous years would, much sooner than now, tell you like, hey, he's not going to tap into these potentials. But this year, no. You're out of luck because, they lose one developer and the game goes completely downhill in 6 months. How is that even possible from a code standpoint? I don't know. But, game developers, they'll figure out a way to do it in 2025. Let me tell you. So yeah, Mick Abel wasn't really anything special for us this past season, and I just don't think we're really looking at him as a part of our organization anymore. He's also a guy who we DFA'd. He's no longer on the 40-man. We would have to re-sign him if we want to bring him back, and I just don't think we're going to re-sign him. Remember trading for Oliver Ortega, and for like 4 straight off seasons now I've been like, oh, this guy's going to get a shot in the opening day roster. And then the opening day comes around, and I'm looking at who to cut, who to narrow down on the roster, and I'm like, man, I like all these guys, but then, Oliver Ortega, I said, is going to be on the team, and then he ends up getting the short string, going to AAA, and being really solid in the AAA bullpen, and now he's 33 years old and has had 2 innings in the majors ever since we acquired him. Or no, he's had more than 2 innings. He's had not quite double digit yet, but he's had 8 2/3 innings since being acquired. And he was very, very good in those 8 2/3 innings. So I don't know, maybe we should just reward Oliver Ortega finally with a stint here in the big leagues, an extended stint here. But it's just, I keep saying that he's going to be on the big league team, and then we get to opening day, and it's like, man, we need to cut one guy, we need to trim one guy off the roster, and he's always the last guy. So, I don't know, maybe this year will be different, but we still do have him in the organization. We still have Nick Robertson, who is in our AAA team. He could be somebody, but it's like he's a right-hander. He could be somebody we keep around. Who knows? See, like, I clicked on this guy, and I was literally about to like give you the rundown on this guy. We signed him this past offseason as a minor league free agent. I liked his ratings. I thought he could be a decent player for us, maybe like a late bloomer. Wasn't really that impressive this year for us in AAA, but he did pitch 31 games, whatever. I thought maybe we keep him around, and I was literally about to go into some tangent about like, oh, this guy, we look at this, he's got good control already, he could tap into all this, this guy could be a useful piece, and then I'm just, boom, it hits me. The game is lying to you, Jersey. The game is fucking with your ability to analyze anything. Now taking a look down in AA, we've got Kyle Johnson, who was the two-way guy. Now he's been a starting pitcher. And even as a starting pitcher, he's starting to look like a guy who, not going to tap into his potentials here. He's had back-to-back decent seasons in A-ball and AA. He's now 24, and, we're looking at the scouting here, and there's not a lot of pluses happening. And he still has all this potential. So yet another guy that I'm looking at going, should I be optimistic about this guy being a decent, like, multi-inning reliever for us? Or should I just instantly just be like, this guy's never going to be anything? And if we do move on from a guy like that, I probably wouldn't move on from him. I'd probably just keep him in the system. But, like, theoretically, if I did move on from him because I'm like, oh, he's never going to be anything, then what can I possibly do about pitching ever? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm just going around looking for pitchers, how am I ever supposed to acquire pitching? If I'm just going, like, am I only supposed to trade for 35-year-old guys who actually developed? Like, am I just supposed to build an entire staff of 32-plus-year-olds because they developed through the system and then I trade for them and that's how we build a pitching staff? Is that the only way to do it in this game because the development is just so busted? He's interesting. He seems interesting. If he does have an 80-grade fastball, 75-grade curveball, he could be a very interesting multi-inning reliever, fifth starter type guy. But who knows if he actually taps in any of that. We're leaning no because, I'm cynical. Oh, I should also mention that we still have William Kepner here because he's a guy who, once again, another guy who's never going to tap into 60 stuff. He's never going to tap into an 80-grade slider and an 80-grade sinker. Would that make him a very good reliever? Yes. But is it ever going to happen? No. One guy that's worth mentioning in AAA is Fabian Lopez. This guy is somebody who is literally never going to hit at the major league level. He is going to be Brenton Doyle type bat in the major leagues, but he is Brenton Doyle shortstop, essentially. That's what this guy is. Am I ever going to run this guy out at shortstop while we have Acosta and Caba? Maybe if both those guys tear their ACLs, sure. This guy would be the third option. Or even then, the third option would probably just be Cawley, or if we still have him, because has no options and he's arbitration eligible this year. Or it would maybe even be Diaz or Brooks Lee. But this guy, in a pinch, in desperation, he would play shortstop for us, but not somebody I'm looking to ever play there every day. I should also mention Jacob Lombard is now 22 years old. He was our first pick in 2026 out of a Miami area high school, if I want to believe. Yes, Miami area high school. He was a very good prospect at one point. No longer that is the case. It looks like he could be a good, decent BABIP, decent power player, but is he going to tap into it? I've noticed the batters do develop a little bit better than pitchers in this game. They're not quite the level of, like, the game gaslighting you into thinking these guys are going to be good when they're actually not. But, now I'm, the game's tricking me. The game's fucking with my head. Am I just dumb with evaluating things? I don't know. Should I even bother being like, oh, this guy might be good? But Jacob Lombard was in AA the past 2 years, has never hit in the minors at any level above rookie. But the glove is interesting. As far as some guys that we're going to be keeping our eye on this season as potential quick movers from like the A ball levels to the double A level. This guy is somebody I have on my radar. Esteban Serrano here, you can see here, just had a very good season in A-ball to Jupiter Hammerheads. We are planning on starting him with the Beloy Skycarp this season. Possibly will end up with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos if he has a very good campaign. But this guy is like the exact type of pitcher that we love. This is like, if he develops, big if, but this is the exact guy I talk about. Big control, big movement, and it plays up his stuff and pitches. None of his pitches, none of his stuff looks great, but if he has this type of control, if he has this type of movement, ground ball pitcher, really good stamina, really good hold runner, he's a high leader, high IQ, low greed, the exact type of guy you want in your rotation. But I would love to see this guy develop. I would love him to develop. Hopefully he does. We also have somebody like Colt Niehoff here, who was our 14th round pick in 2026 out of Oklahoma State, coming off a really good season, or a solid season in high A Beloit. He's going to be starting the year in double A this year. He's 24. He's a bit too old to be at A ball here, but he's a high leader, high loyalty, high baseball IQ guy. Develop, please. Please develop and turn into like a good fifth starter, multi-inning reliever type option for us. Please. I'm begging you. And then we've also got a bunch of those college relievers that we took in the 2028 draft. Chris Williams coming off a unlucky year with the ERA, really high BABIP, but really good FIP, 85 FIP minus for them, 32% strikeout rate. You may be able to hear the lawnmower. My apartment complex has their dedicated landscaper going around doing all the lawns and whatnot. Lefty here. This is a guy who we need lefties in the system. Is he going to develop, though? We need you to develop. Please! Then we also got Ben Willoughby, who was our 9th round pick in 2028 out of Duke. And, by the way, NCAA Regionals. Crazy that Duke is hosting their first ever regional against Murray State. Oh my God. Crazy week of regionals last week. I'm recording this on the Friday of the start of the Super Regionals. I like to have a little fun, talk about, do the whole Duke joke and whatnot, D-O-O-K. But I will say, I do like how Duke plays. I like that they're like a modern college baseball team, while like a lot of college baseball teams are like, very not modern, I should say. But it is fun. It is still fun. It is fun to see some of that stuff, stick around. I'm not a huge bunt guy, but it is kind of fun. I like watching Cincinnati. Like, they apply the pressure on you. They lay down bunts, they swipe bags, they are go at all times. And it's fun to watch. Unfortunately, they did not advance, but they were fun to watch. We've also got Sam Feldy, however you say this guy's name, another right-hander who was a college guy. We took him actually in 2029, who looks like he could be a really good power pitcher, but is he going to develop? He's another guy who was, I guess, barely, or we just drafted him this year. This guy was a draft pick for us this season. I'm like, why is this guy have like barely the numbers? We just took him this season already. Yeah, so we just took him, and he's already in this was the development league. Okay, so he was really good in the development league. Walked a bit too many guys in high A ball, but struck out a ton and had a really good FIP minus and got really unlucky with a 484 BABIP combined with an 11.7 walk rate. That'll mess up your ERA for sure. But Sam Feldy, another guy. Please develop. Another guy to keep an eye on with the bats-wise is Jorge Garcia here. He is one of our international free agent signings from 2026. You can see here he's a top 100 prospect, lefty Venezuelan. He's one of these guys who looks like he may be one of these high-range guys who's maybe more suited to be a corner than he is in center. But, who knows? Maybe he does end up at center. Right now we have Dylan Head in the big leagues, but who knows what happens in 2-3 years when this guy is probably at his potential. But for now, looking like he's on the right track here. Put up a 2.6 WAR in A-ball for us for his first chunk of actual, serious, non-complex league ball. And I'm looking forward to see what he does for us at age 20. He'll be 21, and by the time the season starts, age 21 in high A Beloit. he could possibly be a guy who works his way to Double-A this season. Because, I mean, you look at his Southern League ratings right now, he's already a guy who could probably hang a bit. So basically, we're looking to see this guy go out in High A, just crush the ball, and then end up in Double-A for, like, the majority of this upcoming season. Another guy who we might be seeing in the big leagues sooner rather than later is Mr. George Meekhoff here, who was our first-round pick in 2027. He was our first-round pick with the 32nd overall because that was the year after we won the World Series. So, I think it was, wasn't it? No, it was. It was 2027 that we won the World Series. It was, yes, 2027. So 2026 was we had the best record in baseball because a lot of teams had, like, down years that year. So that's why we had the 32nd pick. But you can see here, George Meekhoff, he had a little bit of a stint in A-ball in 2028. Didn't really do well, but he was really good in rookie ball. But then in A-ball in 2029, really tore things up. You could see here already into a lot of yellow here, a lot of 45s, 40s we're seeing on his ratings. Once again, not a guy who's going to be a center fielder, but he is going to be a very good corner outfielder. High speed profile to pair with the gap power. Top 100 prospect. Very intrigued by him. He absolutely tore it up this year in A-ball at the Jupiter Hammerheads. He will be starting the year probably not in the Southern. I mean, he could hack in the Southern League. When you look at these ratings, he could probably hack in the Southern League, but I think we're going to urge on the side of caution here, and we're going to do the same thing with him that we're doing with Garza, and him and Garza. That's the guy's name, right? Yes, him and Garza. So Meekhoff and Garza are both going to start in High A, and we're going to hope that they're both just going to get off to absolutely crazy starts, and then bang, they're in Double-A, and their careers are taking off. So that's what we're hoping for. I am a little bit more optimistic about Meekhoff doing that than I am Garza. I mean, they're both pretty similarly developed. Garza's never going to be the power guy that Meekhoff could potentially be. But yeah, they're both 20. They're both at like similar stages in their career, and we're hoping that they're going to tear up High A and then work their way quickly to Double-A. And then I totally forgot to look at players who are currently on loan in the Arizona Fall League, which gives us a whole different group of players in our organization to look at here. Matthew Gallant is a very interesting player for us out of Charleston Southern University. I can speak. 6th round pick in 2026. A lefty. Hallelujah, folks. And he's a guy who's looking a bit more developed. He's kind of like a... Right now, his floor is very high, but his ceiling is not the highest. Low ceiling, high floor type guy. Really good stamina. So you would want this type of stamina in the rotation, but, he's probably leaning more so right now to be like, if he is a 5th starter, and be like a decent, like, multi-inning lefty sort of guy in our bullpen if he makes it to the big leagues. He was in A-ball and Double-A for us this year. Very good at both spots. Currently in the Fall League with the Mesa Solar Sox. Hoping he's doing pretty well. With 3 starts, he's got a good solid FIP down there. Hopefully he can break through to the team this year. And then some other more college relievers that we've taken over the years. 10th round pick in 2028 here, Mike Carrier. He is coming off a very good season, split between A-ball and Double-A. He's kind of getting roughed up a bit in the draft league in 15 2/3 innings. Looks like they're starting him down there. I would never start this guy, but he's another guy who's kind of a bit towards that Tomeo guy in Double-A, where he's huge movement, but like the control isn't as good as you would expect for a guy like that. But still very interested to see if this guy actually develops for us. TJ Griffin, folks, this guy was the big movement, big control guy that we took in 2028, 6th round at the University of Notre Dame. Double-A season this year and an A-ball. Very good at both levels. This guy could be a fast riser. He could honestly be on the big league team to start the season. He's already a 40 overall. He could be a guy who gets like a dev bump at some point. He'll definitely be in spring training. We've had it happen before where guys go in the spring training roster and just something clicks and they get a big development boost and then boom, it's like, this guy is actually one of our better players. So TJ Griffin here, he could be one of the lefties on our opening day bullpen here. We've also got a former scouting discovery here from 2025 in Adrian Grijalva, something like that, lefty out of Nicaragua. He is a very interesting player. The changeup probably never going to develop at this point, but the fastball cutter is already pretty decent. Already 50 stuff, 45 movement, 45 control. Can the rest of this develop? And this guy's already this good, and he's only 20 as a lefty. In Double-A, struggled this year, was solid in A-ball and the bullpen mainly, but he's got 65 stamina, 65 hole runner, so he's got that elite hold runner potential as a lefty, but he's also got some good like multi-inning capability to him. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on him. He'll probably start in Double-A again, see if he could do well down there, but he could be a guy who also works his way up to the big leagues here for us this season, maybe even out of camp. We'll have to see. No idea how this works, but Mike Bird, who was our 7th round pick in 2028, looking like he's going to be a solid reliever for us too as well. He's developing very well out of UNC Wilmington. Very good personality class for him. He had a very good year in between A-ball and Double-A this year. He won the Southern League round 2 with Pensacola, but unfortunately, he tore his labrum. So Mike Bird, I don't know how this works. You tear your labrum and then you still end up in the Arizona Draft League. Is he just there working with the coaches, I guess? I don't know, but he's hurt. He can't play. But, still optimistic about Mike Bird's future here despite his torn labrum. Another guy we have is Ryan Furcucci here, who we picked up from the Houston Astros in the Kyle Tucker trade. Didn't have the best year in AAA for us, but he's currently in the draft league. Or not draft league, he's in the fall league with the Mesa Solar Sox. Why are all our guys always in the Mesa Solar Sox? That's weird to me. But ground ball pitcher, not something we're looking to have as like one of our top options, but definitely an interesting depth piece for us this season that you might see at some point. Trent Greindlinger is going to be our 3rd catcher. He will be on the 40-man roster. He will not be starting unless there is an injury. But Ramirez and Palma are our 1-2, and then Greindlinger is our defense first, 3rd catcher to have as as an emergency guy on the 40-man roster. So he'll be in the mix this year, maybe in the big leagues, who knows? Hopefully not, because that would mean something happens, but he is there as insurance. We've also still got this Brock Kettleson guy, who was our 3rd round pick in 2025, has really struggled at the bat this season. He was really, really good in 2028. Not so much this year, but still good defensively in Double-A. Put up a 4.6 ZR. Was like a solid player, but nothing too crazy. Hopefully he can develop a bit more because we would like to see more out of this guy. We still have this Gage Miller guy who's like a super overager. He's 28 years old. Was way too good for Double-A this year. He'll be in Triple-A to start the season. So yeah, now that we've gone through and going over basically every single possible useful player for us in our minor league system, time to take a look at the salary arbitration numbers. First time actually looking at this, I knew about Davis and De Los Santos. We're probably going to trade him. Cauley, we're leaning towards probably just not giving this to him and either non-tendering him or trading him and getting to see what we can get for him. Kachanowicz we want back. He's a key part of our bullpen at the very least. Maybe in the rotation, but probably just the bullpen. Bobby Miller, though, this is interesting. For this type of guy, 30 years old, he's like a follower at best in the rotation. He is a decent reliever for us, but he's put up good numbers. He's been a solid, dependable pitcher for us. But do we want to pay a guy like that $6 million? Probably not. So I think we're leaning towards moving on from Bobby Miller. So, Peyton Martin's probably the front runner for that 5th starter spot right now, depending on if we sign somebody or not in free agency. So right now, we're leaning towards not giving the money to him, not giving the money to him, not giving the money to him, giving it to Kachanowicz. He wants 2.6, so we can, drop it down to 25.5. Boom. Yeah. Save $50K. Who cares? I also just feel like I should be mentioning here, Ocean Gabonia was a guy that we acquired with high hopes for him to be a decent piece for us, but at this point, I think we're going to be moving on from him. He's fragile now. We acquired him in the 2028 offseason. 2028, he started in AAA, was really good, came up to the big leagues, was really good in 7 2/3, and then bang, torn labrum out for 9 months. And then this season, he actually had a setback on that as well, and then he had a torn labrum a couple seasons previous, and then this year, boom, ruptures his UCL. His arm is kaplooey. It's pulled pork, is an elbow, his shoulder's messed up. It's just not good. You know, the guy can't really throw anymore. So we're going to be moving on from him. We're out here shopping Davison De Los Santos, and I haven't really scrolled through all of this yet, but just right off the bat here, I'm seeing one Jordan Lawler stand out to me as somebody who is kind of underachieved for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's put up 2 WAR seasons, like 2.5 WAR seasons for them, but he's never really been a great hitter for them. He's also fragile. Just stood out to me as a name, not somebody I'm really looking to trade for. It would also be funny to just give him back to the D-backs, De Los Santos, that is, because that's where they got him from. And we also don't have a spot for Jordan Lawler to play, and I'm not going to, pay a guy $5.5 million when we don't have a spot to play him. That's why we're looking to trade De Los Santos, is because we're looking to give Partridge the run at first base, and De Los Santos is somebody who we don't have a spot for at the moment. Also, just this guy's name is standing out to me. Never heard of this guy, but crazy name. Not even going to attempt to pronounce it, but crazy name. The other one that stood out to me is that the Braves are trying to give me the final boss of the pitching gaslighting development here in this game. I mean, you look at this guy and you're like, this guy is like, he'd be incredible, but it's never going to happen. He's never going to have better than 45 stuff, 45 movement. It's never going to happen, Jersey. Also, for those of you who don't know, this man currently pitches for the Colorado Rockies in real life. You're looking at this name going, oh, I think I know how to pronounce that. No, you don't. I was watching a Rockies game early this season. Why was I doing that? Because I like to torture myself, obviously. They bring in this guy out of the bullpen, and I'm like, okay, I know this guy from OOTP. I've seen his name over the years. I'm aware of who he is. I had some idea of how I thought maybe it would be pronounced just based on, like he's a Latin guy. I know that it's probably just not Chiavilli, because he's not Italian. Angel Chiavilli. All right, so we're still here the first day of the offseason. We have made a couple trades here. The first one was we traded Bobby Miller to the Milwaukee Brewers in a 1-for-1 pitcher swap. So Bobby Miller, who was slotted to make $6 million in arbitration, is a proven, follower guy who, the Brewers are always looking for guys that can get outs. This guy can get outs. So Bobby Miller on the Brewers, and we get somebody who they've just shoved in AAA and just never used every single season in Cameron Wagner. 28 years old, you look at this guy, you're like, okay, it's the similar age player, but Cameron Wagner has never made the big leagues, and he has all 3 option years because he's never been on the 40-man roster either. He will be on our 40-man roster, and he will get a chance to break with the club out, break with the big league club out of camp. So Cameron Wagner is now a member of our team. We're also not going to give him number 6. Already in use. That's awesome. How about 76? Yeah, 76. And then we also traded Davison De Los Santos along with Mick Abel to the New York Yankees. So Davison De Los Santos no longer going to be our first baseman. He's going to finish out at least this upcoming season, you would think, with the Yankees. And we get in return 2 pitchers, 25-year-old Luis Serna, who is currently injured with a torn meniscus. I was looking at a couple starters who were interesting. Thomas Harrington on the Phillies was one of them that I was looking at. But I just didn't he was a fly ball guy who had 45 home runs allowed. I didn't love it. So this guy, a lot of green in the profile, a lot of current green. So Luis Serna, we're liking what we're seeing here. He's going to be in our rotation this year. Currently out with an injury, but he'll be back plenty in time for spring training. So he'll be in our rotation to start the season, and hopefully he's a solid pickup for us. You can see so far in the major leagues, didn't really get too much time the previous 2 years, but then in his 24-year-old season, he gets 29 starts, and he was whatever. But the Yankees were also probably just running him out there. They probably had his strategy. They probably had the hook starter way the hell up there, and throwing him 120. How many pitches per game is he throwing? 92, yeah. He's not going to be throwing 92 pitches per game with us. I'll tell you that much right now. So Luis Serna going to be a part of our rotation. And then we also picked up a veteran reliever to bring in as a lefty to add to the mix. 35 years old, Dylan Lee out of Fresno State. He's coming off a season where he had a really good FIP but a not good ERA. The previous year, he was one of the better one-inning relievers in baseball, and we got him for a $3.8 million price tag for this upcoming season at 35 years old. So that's what we got rocking here with us in that trade. Dylan Lee and Luis Serna joining the Fish for 2030. And we have gone ahead and added our 10 players to the development lab here. The first one is Cameron Wagoner, our newly acquired pitcher from the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to be trying to tap into some of this control potential, maybe make some of that, some of these pitches tick up a bit more. He's already got the 50 control, the 50 movement. Maybe we can bump it up to 55. Who knows? He's got the adaptability as well. Hopefully that plays a role. Peter Hubeck, another guy who we want to tap into his control potential here. Already looking like he has good stuff, movement, 3-pitch mix here. Can we bump up this control to make him more useful of a player here for us entering 2030? Peyton Martin, we are trying to tap into his movement. He's already a guy who we are planning on having in the big league club from the start this season. Maybe we can get a movement boost here and turn that into something really special here, along with his other good ratings. Nicholas Partridge, we are trying to tap into his eye potential here. He only has 50 power, 55 gap. They're both set. We could have gone with Babbitt, but I wanted to go with something a little bit easier to train with him. So Partridge trying to tap some eye here, get some of that walk potential. He's already been walking a ton in the minor leagues, so hopefully we can maybe even get that a bit better here, and he could turn into like a generational Joey Votto type bat for us at first base. Aiming high there, obviously, but I mean, why not? Why not wish high? And then we have Camilo Diaz trying to generate some bat speed on him, tap into that 65 power potential. Same thing with Ashedri Vargas, trying to get his power up here. He's already got 50. He has some potential there. He's already a really, really good doubles hitter. If we could turn him into like a 30-plus home run guy, that would be fantastic for us. And then we decided to go with a couple prospect guys. Demeve Teneo here. He's the guy who has the really good movement, extreme ground ball. We want to tap into some of this control. Can we get this control up? Can we get the potential up, perhaps? We're just kind of doing a Hail Mary with him, seeing if something works. Jorge the Dream Garza, one of those guys we have in high A, 20 years old. We are trying to get this eye potential up. He already has some potential there. It's by far his worst category. Can we possibly get a big TCR bump and get this eye going with the contact bat, with the elite gap power, with the speed? It would be very, very good. We would love it. And then for the last spot, we just kind of threw in Hurston Waldrop as like a Hail Mary attempt to just kind of tap into some of this, man. Secondary pitch improvement. Get those slider and splitter up there, man. Tap into this blue stuff. And the hope that is if he taps into some of this blue stuff here, then that this stuff will go up a little bit. Who knows, but that's what we're hoping for. We have now reached the point in the offseason here where all the awards have been given out. As you can see, the runaway winner with the National League MVP was Elly De La Cruz. Pretty self-explanatory, folks. Back-to-back 9.9. You round up 10 WAR seasons for Elly. I mean, the guy's incredible. It's just insane. What could you even say about these numbers? Obviously, Wilfredo Lara stands no chance. 10 WAR for Elly. Owen Casey had second place. He was the only other one that I guess he got a first place vote from some Cubs writer who has a vote for some reason still. But yeah, 48 home runs, led league in homers, but definitely does not deserve MVP. And then Wilfredo Lara finishes third. So top three finish, but it's a top three finish in a year where it's clear and away Elly De La Cruz is the MVP of the league. While in the American League, Julio Rodriguez back on top, folks. Who says that this man's going downhill? Well, he kind of is in real life, but, in this, not so much. 2025 put up a 7 WAR, and he's just been steady 5 WAR, 4 WAR player. Now this year, bang, 9.8 WAR, his best. Leads the league in WAR, WRC+, WOBA, average OBP, slugging OPS, 38 home runs, 34 doubles, 23 swiped bags, and he's still playing a very, very good center field as well, as Julio is still damn good, folks. You got Gunnar Henderson now at the Detroit Tigers in 4th place. Do not look up this man's high school. Nothing bad ever happened in that town. And then the Cy Young in the National League actually goes to New Jersey legend Chase Petty. Public high school, too, I should say. We like to point at the public school guys because, you know, we all follow sports. We all know what the deal is. So Chase Petty here turns out to be a damn good player for the Cincinnati Reds. Put together a 5 WAR season, leads the league in WHIP, and gets rewarded with the NL Cy Young over Paul Skeens, who, you know, debatable. You could have given it to him. It wasn't like a runaway award, but you know he did win the award. So Chase Petty, congratulations to him. And then the American League, it's Jaden Ham of the Detroit Tigers. He is real. I've never heard of this guy. 5th round pick, 2023 to Middle Tennessee State. Maybe I've seen this guy in a prospect list somewhere at some point, but not exactly a guy who's on my radar. But he also led the league in WHIP and in BABIP. Very good, suppression numbers for him this year. And 27 years old, kind of coming out of nowhere. 2027, he was solid. 2028, I guess he was hurt. Was he hurt in 2028? No, he just wasn't a part of their rotation for some reason. He pitched in Toledo in 2028 and was not great. So then 2029 comes back up to the big leagues and bang, Cy Young. That's just called progression, folks. And then Edwin Morales is the runner-up with the Chicago White Sox. Wasn't Edwin Morales the name of one of my pitchers with the Raleigh Oaks last year? It sounds very familiar. This guy, very clearly one of the fake players from that 26 class, because, you know, why would real players be the entirety of the class for the first 3 years like it has been previously? This year, you know, year 2, bang, it's 90% fake. But, you know, we get this guy, who I'm pretty sure is the same name of somebody we had with the Raleigh Oaks. The Rookie of the Year in the National League ends up not being P.J. Morlando. He finishes runner-up to Steven Martinez of the New York Mets, a Dominican corner outfielder with some seriously good ratings, really good BABIP, gap power, power eye. This guy looks like he could be a generational hitter for the New York Mets for many years to come here. They got him from a trade with the Baltimore Orioles in 2027. I would say he had a better year than Morlando. He probably also played solid right field. So Morlando was definitely, I would say he was a good number 2, but, you know, didn't get on base a ton, was really all boom or bust with the home runs. He did have a decent amount of doubles, but overall, yeah, that guy definitely was better than him. And in the American League, it was Gage Harrelson of the Minnesota Twins out of Texas Tech. This guy is real. I know that for a fact because Reckham played corner outfield for the Twins this year in his first real stint in the big leagues, and gets a 4 WAR, wins the Rookie of the Year award in a runaway landslide over Henry Bolt of the Las Vegas Athletics. And then some Silver Slugger action in the National League. We did have a player win one, and that was Wilfredo Lara at third base with his 5 WAR season and his 3rd place MVP finish. And then that was our only player. And then also, we had an award winner in the National League Reliever of the Year, folks. Keegan Akin gets the number 1 spot, run away with the award. Unfortunately, he was not with us for a playoff run, but we've got him back for another season, the veteran lefty. Now this year, pairing with Dylan Lee as another veteran lefty in the bullpen. But Keegan Akin, you know, we got the NL Reliever of the Year on a $3.5 million contract for us this upcoming season. So we will take that all the time. And Bobby Miller actually finishes top 3 because I guess, you know, it was probably inflated by the fact that he had so many innings, because obviously innings equals outs. So, you know, a lot of that was as a follower. So the game probably can't really recognize that he's a follower, but you know, he gets third place because he had so many innings. And he had a good year too, but no longer with us, now at the Milwaukee Brewers. And then in the American League, you have Gregory Santos of the Cleveland Guardians winning the award in that league. Yeah, very good year. AI continues to not use their relievers in a extended stopper role. This guy would be an ideal 35 stamina, this type of numbers. I would be pitching this guy 120 innings a year as a stopper, but they are not. And then we also had ourselves a Gold Glove winner, Eshedri Vargas, the right field Gold Glove. Sometimes the Gold Gloves are a bit finicky, especially with the corner outfield spots. Vargas, put together a 6 ZR in right field, but it wasn't like he was great. I guess maybe it was the arm. It's got to be the arm plays a factor. 6 ZR, a 6.5 arm. I guess he was just solid in right field because of that combined stuff. I mean, obviously he was very good in right field, gets the Gold Glove. I'm not complaining, but I have had some finicky guys win Gold Glove in the corner outfields in this game in the past. Mainly last year, I noticed it a bunch. I haven't really been paying attention to the Gold Gloves much because we really haven't had anybody win it, but now we do. We have Eshedri Vargas wins it in right field. No! We're going to lose our first base coach, Jeff Fry here, one of our best coaches. The guy is incredible at doing all this stuff. He's been our first base coach since the first season when we hired him, just like straight off the free agent pool. The Giants are trying to hire him as a bench coach, and he wants either promotion or an extension. Can't give him an extension. Obviously not going to promote him. So Jeff Fry here, we're going to be losing him. We're going to have to replace our first base coach. No need to panic, everyone. No need to panic. We've hired a new guy, Mr. Juan DeLone here. He has legendary outfield defense, so we still have 3 legendary talent, teaching abilities, and infield, outfield, and running, and then outstanding at catching. It just stinks because Jeff Fry here had legendary catching defense. So, we had legendary at all 4. Now we have to settle for just outstanding at catching. Alrighty, folks, we have reached the part of the offseason here where we have gone in and signed our international free agent class. We have gone with 6 players this year. Went for a bit of a bigger class, I can speak, this year, because last year we've got like the one big fish in free agency as someone is driving by blasting their base. You're cool, man. We get it. You're awesome. Anyways, Angel Macias was our best player here from Nicaragua. He is a right-handed reliever, already 19 years old. I guess he's just been there and nobody's signed him, and he's been developing, and he looks like he's going to be a really, really good reliever. High adaptability, extreme ground ball, just the exact type of reliever we'd love to see. Hopefully he can turn into what they think he's going to turn into. Oh, and also we signed him for $2.4 million. Then we signed Domingos Fradique, a Venezuelan-Italian infielder, definitely not a shortstop, infielder with a decentish bat, 17 years old. He was signed for $160K. Then it was Luis Martinez, a Dominican right-handed reliever. Also a guy who looks like he has really good home run suppression, good personality class, 16 years old, almost 17. He was signed for $150,000. Tatsuya Nakagawa, a Brazilian-Japanese. For those of you that don't know, I'm pretty sure it's the biggest population of Japanese people, or Japanese names, however you would refer to it, Japanese descent, other than Japan, is Brazil. I'm pretty sure that's the fact. But Nakagawa here, the Brazilian-Japanese corner outfielder, not exactly the best personality class, but he was very cheap. Or not very cheap, he was $1.6 million, and he looks like he could have a really solid bat to play some corner outfield. Now, wouldn't really be able to play corner outfield here, but, maybe we turn him into a DH first base type. He's 6'3", 190. He's got the size for it. But he's definitely got an interesting bat. That is for sure. 17 years old. Arturo Rodriguez, a right-handed reliever out of Venezuela. Just looks like he has 85 control potential. Obviously only 80 scouting average accuracy, but an extreme risk. But, 85 control. I felt like it was worth taking a shot on for $370,000. And then for our final signing, we signed Elias Salcido, a Sint Martiner Dutch. I'm sure I butchered that. Super utility guy. 65 range in the infield. Can we click on this, please? 60 range in the outfield. It's doing the thing where it's all slow, which is, once again, usually you'd be able to go here, hit no limitation, bang, boom. It's instantly snappy again. This year, no. Because why would it be? Why would it stay the same? Why would it be a good game? Anyways, that is our class. The 6 players we signed. Salcido, the utility man, being the last one for $150,000. Alrighty, folks. We have reached opening day. It is March 19th. We still have a little bit to go to our first game here, but as always, we have made our 26-man roster, so it is time to go over everything that has happened in this offseason with a quick roundup, and then get ready for the 2030 campaign. So, starting off in November of the offseason, we saw the 2 trades we made. Davison De Los Santos sent to the New York Yankees, along with Mick Abel in return for Luis Serna and Dylan Lee. Luis Serna is in our rotation to start the season, 25 years old, looking to be a solid player for us. We like him. We like his outlook. He's going to be in our rotation. Dylan Lee, the veteran lefty, is in our bullpen. He's a key part of it this season on an expiring contract. Hopefully he is going to be very good for us. We also traded Bobby Miller because he was projected to make a good chunk of change in arbitration to the Milwaukee Brewers in return for Cameron Wagoner, a 28-year-old who had never been in the major leagues, and we liked his outlook enough. It was similar to Bobby Miller's ratings. He's a high leader, high adaptability guy. He's going to be in our bullpen to start the season for his first ever big league action. Also, it changes number again, dude. He was 76. He is 76, man. Stop changing it. Then we also ended up trading Cameron Cawley to the San Francisco Giants as just kind of like a dump off the roster sort of move, along with just a 18-year-old prospect throw-in guy for a 30-year-old lefty, Noel Vela, who currently is on waivers for us, but he should be able to pass down to AAA just as a lefty ground ball guy to have in the mix in our depth. And then we also picked up this guy who was like the ultimate, if he develops, he's cool, also very high risk, 29 years old, about to be 30. You know, it's a total Hail Mary on this guy, but, you know, look at this. He's got really good control, good BABIP already, but then the fastball, the pitches, the stuff could be exceptional, but he is extreme fly ball, so I figured he was just kind of a guy worth to just throw in, see maybe something happens, maybe something doesn't, but he's in AAA to start the season. Then in December, we talked about how we lost our first base coach because the Giants hired him as a bench coach, so we hired this Juan DeLone guy, who is now our first base coach. Solid first base coach, you know, not really much else to say there. We also we ended up losing Brendan Summerhill in the Rule 5 draft of the Blue Jays because they took 3 players in the Rule 5 draft. So he's actually not on our team anymore. So Brendan Summerhill is on the Jays. He is on our former Fish shortlist here. So we're going to be keeping tabs on him. He just was never going to break our team. There's no spot for him. He didn't develop as much as he wanted him to. He's not a bat. I don't think he's a major league player. The Blue Jays clearly think differently because, I don't know, they're desperate. I don't know. We also lost Fabian Lopez, that guy I was talking about who I would never actually willingly play in the major leagues, but the Milwaukee Brewers, I guess, must be desperate for a shortstop, so they decided to put this guy on their big league team for the Rule 5 here. And then we did actually make an acquisition of the Rule 5, and he's actually on the team to start the opening day roster here, is Nick Samillo. From Rutgers, baby! That's right, Nick Samillo, Rutgers, former catcher at Rutgers. Guy has bounced around in different organizations here. You can see he was a 16th round pick in 2022 out of Rutgers by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he's been with Pittsburgh for pretty much this whole, I should say he didn't bounce around. He was with Pittsburgh pretty much this whole time, just developing. He starts off this game pretty well rated, and I had my eye on him. You can see here he's He has led the league games started. He led the league in walks in 2028, whatever league was in. Sack flies, don't really care about that. But he's one of the best hitter of position. He's got all these awards. He's a decent bat. And the plan for him is to be our first baseman against left-handed pitching this year, which we will get into. But Nick Samillo on our team through the Rule 5 draft. And then we also ended up signing 2 free agents. So we went into the offseason, we went into free agency with the idea of maybe bringing in like a 4th outfielder, maybe like a decent lefty reliever or something. And we ended up bringing in a lefty reliever in Carlos Meza, who is a guy who never really got a chance in the big leagues. He was with Kansas City this past year, was pretty decent. And they decided not to bring him back. He walked into free agency. We gave him a deal. He is now a member of our team here. We gave him a 1-year, $1 million contract, auto-renewing. We will hope that he's a very good reliever for us. Carlos Meza, the Venezuelan. And then we also made a big splash. We have now committed to Nolan Shawnuel. He's back, baby. The legend of the Los Angeles Angels sim that we had going last year. He was a big part of that. He was very, very good, developed very well. In this save, you can see he's started off not so hot. And then in 2026, rebounded a bit, pretty decent. And then he had a couple down years. And then he goes to Pittsburgh for a year and just tears it up. This is like Nolan Shawnuel looking like on the Angels in our save, in our universe. And he goes into free agency. He has no compensation. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just lock up the DH spot. So Nolan Shawnuel, we gave him a front-loaded deal, 22.5, then 20, then 18, then the last 2 are 15 at ages 31 and 32. We've got our DH spot locked up now for theoretically the next 5 seasons. So that then allowed us to trade Yanquiel Fernandez because he was the guy who had no options and just did not have a spot on our roster now that he wasn't our DH. So we ended up trading him to the Twins in return for a prospect, Eric Tuttle, who did not need to be added to the 40-man roster. When we traded for him, he had a 50 potential, but it dropped down to 45. But, you know, big gap power guy, good speed profile, can play the outfield. Definitely an interesting player to have in the mix here, starting the year in AAA for us after spending last year throughout the Twins organization. Ended it with St. Paul in their AAA team. And then as far as acquisitions go, those were the only things we did this offseason, but we did actually make 2 big 9-year extensions, so our core players are locked up right now. Dylan Head and Ashedri Vargas have both been locked up for long-term deals. Dylan Head, our center fielder, this guy, we love him. He's, you know, not exactly the best offensive player, but we like his offense enough. I like that he's an old school player. He puts the ball in play. He's got enough BABIP, gap power, eye to make it work. Elite stolen base threat. Really, really good defensive center fielder. And we've locked him up now as our center fielder for the foreseeable future. This contract will go into place next season at $4 million, $7 million, $12 million, and then it's 19, 19.5, and then it drops down to 17.5 for 2 years, and then 2 more years at 17.5. But they are team options for his age 33 and 34 season. So that's what we got Dylan Head locked up on. And then Ashedri Vargas, who had a big boost this offseason with the power. He's now got 60 power here. You look at his scouting current gap, went up from 55 to 60. I could have sworn his power went up as well, but his power is now up to 60, looking like he's primed for a very, very good season here. He is our cleanup hitter now that De Los Santos is no longer on the team. And he has one more year of team league minimum, and then he'll be transitioning into this team-friendly deal for us. 5.6, 10.7, 17.2 were the arbitration numbers he was projected to get, and then it's going to be 26.5 for 2 seasons. He hits 31, it drops down to 22, then 20, and then 2 team option years at 33 and 34 at $18 million. So Ashedri Vargas is locked up for 9 seasons upcoming. And those are the only moves we made here this offseason. So let's take a look at what our pitching staff looks like here. 1 through 5, it's going to be Hurston Waldrop, Ryan Weathers, Dustin May, Christian Scott, and Luis Serna. And then in the bullpen, we've got a double-barrel stopper situation of Joseph King and Keegan Akin. And then we have a big group of really solid middle relievers that we like in Jack Kachanowicz, Carlos Meza, Jacob Miller, Dylan Lee, and Peyton Martin. We thought about going with Peyton Martin in the rotation simply because he has a bit better potential and he could possibly be a really good starter for us. And Cerna actually went down to a 45 overall, but his ratings are pretty much the same. So I just figured I would go with Cerna. And, if Cerna struggles, we could move Peyton Martin to the bullpen, or we could go maybe Cerna is a follower and Peyton Martin's the opener. Some sort of situation could happen, but for now, that's what we're rocking with. And then Cameron Wagoner is the long relief, avoid high leverage mop-up guy in the, the low leverage sort of role for us. And then on the offensive side of things, against right-handed pitching, it's Jarren Duran in left field, Wilfredo Lara at third, Brooks Lee at second, Vargas in right, Shawnwell DHing, Ramirez catching, Partridge playing first, Acosta playing short, Dylan Head in center field, and then against lefties, it's Camilo at first base leading things off because he's got that elite eye against left-handed pitching. Get on base, start the top of the order, and then it's Lara, Lee, Vargas, Shawnwell, Ramirez, Duran's in the 7th spot, Acosta, and then Head rounds things out in the 9th spot. We are also playing Palma every third day at catcher. That's what we were doing to end last season. We're going to start the season like that this year. If Palma struggles, we will go back to playing Ramirez every day, but for now, we're going to split the time for them at catcher every third game for Palma. Camilo Diaz is actually our backup infielder right now. And, first base, DH sometime there possibly. But right now he is the main backup infielder as well as the main pinch hitter against righties and lefties. And we're excited for his outlook here because he is a guy who, he's pretty damn solid. And little teaser here for what we're looking towards next season. Camilo Diaz could be in a situation where he's our second baseman next year. And Brooks Lee, who had a big dev bump boost here, we go down to his history, outstandingly improved his infield defense. And now Brooks Lee is looking like a guy who can kind of play shortstop. You're like, okay, not going to be like an elite shortstop, but, maybe next season, Brooks Lee shifts to shortstop at age 30, as wild as that is. And maybe Camilo Diaz becomes our second baseman when Acosta is no longer going to be on our team, when he's making $8 million as this defense first shortstop, when we most likely try to trade him next offseason. But for now, he is the shortstop, and Diaz is the backup infielder, who gives us some decent versatility in that infield with some serious pop potential with his bat, especially against left-handed pitching. And then Victor Mesa is actually our fourth outfielder right now, finally getting his chance in the big leagues here. The Cuban, 28 years old, can play all three outfield positions very well. Lefty bat coming off the bench. Interesting outlook here. Interesting enough bat to have as the fourth outfielder. I just thought that he was better for the fourth outfielder role than somebody like Zahir Hope, who we ended up waiving and DFAing and hoping to pass him down to AAA because he had no options. And he's terrible at the plate, and Mesa is good enough to play all three outfield positions. So we ran with Mesa as the fourth outfielder, and that is our 26-man roster here for the 2030 season. Taking a look at the preseason predictions here, the Red Sox and Orioles projected to be in a very close race in the American League East. The Tigers projected to run away with the Central. The Rangers, Angels, and Astros all clumped together. Even the Mariners really all clumped together in a top four group in the American League West. While in the National League, we are projected to win the NL East division. Only 86 wins, though, but we are still projected to win. The Brewers, the Cubs, Cardinals, Reds, all projected to have very good teams. That should be a bloodbath in the Central and the National League. And then in the West, you've got the Dodgers, the Rockies, and the D-backs all projected to win 80+, with the Dodgers running away with the division. And once again, we are getting no respect in any of the top pitchers or top hitters section in the preseason predictions. And then before we round things out here, we will be taking a look at the programs. So, the first set of them. Cameron Wagner did indeed improve his control. I talk about last year I could have sworn that this rating number was directly correlated to this rating number. This year does not seem to be that way. So I don't know what these things are improving. I guess I know Lion said in the comments that he thinks that it's the editor page. That does make sense. It just I could have sworn that it was different last year. Maybe it is. Who knows? Everything's all out of whack with this game. But Cameron Wagner did improve his control by 5. Peter Hubeck improved his control by less than 5. Peyton Martin improved his potential and current movement by 5. Nicholas Partridge, this is weird to me. It says he had a successful plate discipline program, but then his current eye improves by -5. I don't get it. Yeah, he stole his 55 eye. I'm pretty sure this was 50. So I don't really know what the hell's going on there. Camilo Diaz, no noticeable changes for him. Eshedri Vargas, current power rating improves by 10. I'm pretty sure it was 55 before, but, we'll take it. 60 power now for Eshedri Vargas. Teneo did indeed improve his control. Garza did not improve anything. Esteban Serrano did indeed improve his potential and current control by less than 5. And then Hurston Waldrop did indeed improve his potential splitter by 5 and his current splitter by less than 5. So you can see here his fastball and splitter are actually now 60 grade pitches. Very excited for what Hurston Waldrop could do for us this season to top our rotation. And then taking a look at the defensive set of Dev Labs in the second set. Agustin Ramirez once again trying to improve his defense. No dice. Same with Samilo in the infield and Camilo Diaz. Brooks Lee, though, we saw that he had the big success, so now he is looking like he's going to be even more of an elite second baseman. Has put up some seriously good ZRs there in the past. He's kind of fallen off a bit the past couple of years, but still a very good player. Not quite the double-digit ZRs he was putting up, but still a very good defensive second baseman, to go along with his very good gap power and, never strike out bat that he has. And then unfortunately, no improvement to Peyton Neal's defense, no improvement to PJ Orlando's defense. Starlin Caba did not learn a new position. Cameron Clayton did learn a new position, though, and he actually improved his outfield defense a bit along with that. He now has some versatility in left field along with his solid infield range. You take a look at his ratings. Adds to his versatility more. We would like to see him tap into this BABIP and gap power, though, before we really start thinking about him as like a potential depth infielder or backup infielder for us at the major league level. Who knows? Maybe next year, Camilo Diaz moves to second base, like I was talking about. Lee goes to short, and Cam Clayton is our main backup infielder. Who knows? Could be a thing. And then Garza, we tried to improve his outfield defense. He did not do that. But then George Mikov did indeed improve his base running by 5. And just some update on Mikov and Garza here. The plan was to start them both in Beloit and then have them tear things up and go to Double-A. But they were so good in spring training and developed so much that Mikov is just going to start right away in Double-A. I feel like he can more than hang there. And then we also have Jorge Garza, who is also starting the year right away in Double-A. Very excited to see what these guys can do. Hopefully they're in the big leagues soon for us. And we're going to have an open spot in the outfield next year. Jaron Durant is an expiring contract. We have Dylan Head locked in center field, obviously, and Eshedri Vargas locked in. So we do have one spot open, so maybe one of these guys is trade bait somewhere down the line. But for now, very excited to see what these guys can do for us. They are righty-lefty. Mikov is a righty. Garza is a lefty. So, who knows? Maybe next season, left field's a bit of a top prospect platoon, huh? Now we're talking. But that will wrap things up here for the off-season recap, as we are ready to embark on the 2030 campaign here at the Fish.